Available now. Link below.
In a world where speaking truth to power is often met with silence or sanctions, one man dares to break the silence. Tucker Carlson, in a groundbreaking move, sits down with Vladimir Putin in a riveting exclusive interview. This isn't just journalism, it's a statement, a bold declaration of the unwavering pursuit of truth in an age of censorship and narrative control. As tensions simmer between the East and the West and the specter of sanctions loom large, Tucker's quest for a balanced narrative challenges the status quo, igniting a firestorm of debate across the globe. Why would Tucker risk it all? What does Putin reveal in this historic dialogue, and what could this mean for the delicate balance of international relations? This special report promises to peel back the layers of diplomacy, media, and power, urging viewers to stay tuned for a final thought that promises to redefine the essence of American journalism and the pursuit of truth. Now, before we dive deeper into our exclusive coverage, a quick reminder of the backbone of our fearless journalism. Support from sponsors like the Patriot Gold Group. In times of geopolitical tension and financial uncertainty reminiscent of the Cold War era's shadow over global affairs, safeguarding your wealth becomes paramount. As we navigate through these stories that shape our world, from the front line of free speech to the battlefields of Ukraine, the value of gold mirrors the stakes at play. Patriot Gold Group offers a financial safe haven, much like our commitment to delivering unfiltered truth offers a sanctity for free thought. To secure your assets against the unpredictable tides of global politics, call the number on the screen, 888-857-9437, for your free investor guide. Patriotism isn't just about defending ideals, it's about protecting what you have worked for. Now, in an era where the lines of journalism are increasingly blurred by the narratives of those in power, Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin stands as a beacon of journalistic integrity and the relentless pursuit of truth. This bold engagement signifies more than just an exclusive scoop. It's a testament to the essence of free speech and the vital role of an unshackled press in a democratic republic. By reaching out to Putin, Carlson not only challenges the prevailing one-sided narrative, but also reiterates the importance of understanding all perspectives to fully grasp the complex geopolitical landscape that defines our times. Now, the significance of the interview can't be overstated. At a time when Western media outlets repeatedly amplify voices that align with a certain perspective, Carlson's decision to present an unfiltered dialogue with the Russian leader is a critical step towards transparency and balance in news reporting. Now, this move, undeniably courageous, underscores the fundamental principle that the truth is multifaceted and should not be monopolized by any single narrative. Watch.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
God bless him. Now, following this groundbreaking interview, the immediate backlash Tucker faced was as predictable as it was swift. The European Union, quick to champion the cause of sanctions, has positioned itself as the arbiter of acceptable discourse, proposing punitive measures against Carlson for the mere act of journalism. This knee-jerk reaction to silence and penalize a journalist for seeking out the other side of the story is not only antithetical to the principles of freedom of speech, but also dangerously close to setting a precedent where only state-approved narratives are permitted airtime. And the sanctions proposed by EU lawmakers, spearheaded by figures such as Guy Verhofstadt, aim to castigate Carlson for allegedly being a mouthpiece for Putin, ignoring the fact that Carlson's intention were squarely aimed at uncovering truths in a conflict where Western narratives have dominated the discourse. These potential sanctions, which include travel bans and possibly more severe restrictions, reflect a troubling trend of politicizing journalism and demonizing those who dare to deviate from the prescribed line of thought. It's essential to highlight that the essence of Carlson's interview was not to endorse Putin or his policies, but to provide a platform for understanding, an opportunity for the American people and the wider world to hear directly from a key figure in one of the most significant geopolitical conflicts of our time. And critically, this approach does not equate to support for the interviewed party, actions, or policies. Rather, it embodies the core journalistic principle of giving voice to all sides, allowing viewers to form their own informed opinions. Moreover, the EU's attempt to sanction Carlson raises serious questions about the state of press freedom in the West. If a journalist can face punitive measures for simply conducting an interview, what does that say about the freedom to explore, inquire, and report? This scenario is reminiscent of darker times when censorship and state control over the media were the norms, not the exceptions. And the irony of the EU, a body that professes to uphold the values of democracy and freedom, engaging in such repressive actions, cannot be overstated. As we dissect the implications of these sanctions, it's clear that the real issue at hand is not Carlson's interview with Putin, but the threat it poses to those who wish to maintain a monopoly over the narrative. By penalizing Carlson, the EU inadvertently underscores the importance and power of independent journalism, journalism that dares to question, to explore, and to expose the myriad of truths of our complex world. This move against Carlson is not just an attack on one journalist, but an affront to the principle of free speech and the right to seek and disseminate information from all sources. It's a stark reminder of the fragility of press freedom and the constant vigilance required to protect it from those who seek to silence dissenting voices. In standing with Tucker Carlson, we stand for the bedrock of a free and informed society, resisting the encroachments of censorship and authoritarianism. The broader implications of the scenario extend beyond the immediate repercussions for Carlson himself. It sets a dangerous precedent for international relations where dialogue and understanding are sidelined in favor of punitive silence. In a world increasingly divided by ideological and geopolitical rifts, the need for open channels of communication and exchange of ideas has never been more critical. By attempting to silence Carlson, the EU not only undermines this need, but also contributes to the erosion of trust and the widening of the divides that can only be bridged through honest and open dialogue. So as we reflect on the significance of Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin, the subsequent backlash, it becomes evident that the stakes are far higher than the fate of one journalist. This situation is a litmus test for the state of press freedom in the West, a measure of our collective commitment to the principles of openness, transparency, and the unyielding pursuit of truth. As we navigate these turbulent waters, the need for courageous journalism, journalism that dares to confront power and challenge the status quo, has never been more apparent. Before we proceed to my final thought, there's something you need to hear. With the 2024 election on the horizon, the stakes couldn't be higher. But what really is shaping our future? In the silent coup, I peel back the curtain on the shadowy dance of power and propaganda that's hijacking our democratic process. This isn't just about politics, it's about preserving the integrity of our conversations in our communities. Be the first to uncover the truth. Your copy awaits. Find the link below. And now, my final thought. The Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin isn't just a piece of journalism, it's a statement on the state of our republic and the values we hold dear. At its core, this story is about the power of the press, the importance of diverse narratives, and the unyielding pursuit of truth. In facing potential sanctions, Carlson embodies the courage that is essential in a free society, reminding us that seeking understanding across divides is not just the right, but the duty of a journalist. This report goes beyond a simple interview. It challenges us to reflect on the principles of freedom, dialogue, and our democracy. Our republic, really. So as Americans, we must defend these ideals, recognizing that a world where journalists are silenced is a world dimmed of truth. Let's stand for the freedom to ask, to hear, and to speak. For in that freedom lies the strength of our republic. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.